Hi, everyone. Welcome back to English Unlimited podcast. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Jamie.
And today we are getting into something that I think causes universal stress for every English learner out there.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Fast speech. You know that feeling, right? You've studied for hours, you've got the grammar down, you even know, I don't know, the subjunctive mood or something really advanced.
Right.
And then you step into a real situation, like a noisy cafe, or you turn on the morning news and suddenly English just becomes this machine gun of sound.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a blur. And all those individual words you worked so hard to learn, they just vanish. They completely disappear.
It's such a common feeling. And we really want to start by saying, if that's you, you are not failing. It's not a sign that your vocabulary is bad.
It really feels like it is, though.
I know, but what's actually happening is that native speakers are using these little shortcuts all the time. We call it connected speech.
Connected speech. Okay.
Yeah, when we speak at our natural speed, we change sounds, we drop sounds, we link everything together to be more efficient. And if your ear isn't trained for those specific changes, you literally can't decode what's being said. The signal is just noise.
So this deep dive is going to be our decoder ring, then. We're going to create a roadmap for that chaotic sound.
That's the plan.
We're going to unpack, 5 specific sound shortcuts? Things like assimilation and elision. I've heard those words, but they sound terrifying.
It will make them unterrifying. And more importantly, we're not just going to diagnose the problem. We're going to give you the tools to fix it. We'll talk about why vocabulary is such a huge bottleneck and then introduce really powerful training techniques.
Okay, like what?
Things like dictogloss and shadowing. These are methods that shift you away from passive listening, which is really just a memory test, into an active, almost physical skill you can build to handle real-world speed.
Ooh, I like the sound of that. And I think you have a little teaser for us, something to listen out for.
I do. As we go through these sound rules, keep this in mind. One of these features, one of these major sound changes, happens for one reason, and one reason only.
Which is?
Pure human laziness. It's literally because the effort to move our mouth into the correct position is just too much work, so we don't.
Ha! I knew it! So native speakers are just lazy.
In the most efficient way possible.
Yeah.
And we'll reveal exactly which feature that is in our common mistakes segment later on. Plus, stick around to the end because I've got a short pop quiz for you to lock in these new techniques.
All right, I'm ready. But before we jump in, just a quick reminder to please subscribe to English Unlimited podcast wherever you're listening. And if you find this helpful, hit that like button. It really helps us reach more learners who are stuck in that same machine gun fog.
It really does.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. The hidden barrier. Why do words just disappear?
Well, let's start with some hard data. Because I think people underestimate just how important listening is. It's not just another skill, it is the foundation.
I feel like I've heard that before. You know, listening is important. But is there actual proof? Is there a measurable link between, say, how well I listen and how well I speak?
There is, a very strong one. One major study found a really significant correlation between a learner's listening comprehension score and their speaking proficiency score.
Okay.
The correlation coefficient was 0.608.
Whoa, okay, that is a number. 0.608. That sounds very scientific and honestly a little meaningless to me. What does that actually mean for my learning?
It's so important. So think of it this way. A correlation of 1.0 would mean they're perfectly linked. One predicts the other 100%. A correlation of 0.0 means no link at all.
Right.
So 0.60 is a very strong positive link. But here's the really stunning part. If you square that number, it tells you how much one thing is explained by the other. And it turns out that your listening ability accounts for roughly 37% of your speaking ability.
37%. That's huge. So you're telling me almost 4/10 of my ability to speak well comes directly from how well I understand things?
Precisely. If you want to improve your fluency, your confidence, your pronunciation, the fastest way to do it is to become a better listener. It's the input that fuels everything else. You absorb the rhythm, the grammar, the intonation, all of it, through listening.
It makes sense when you put it like that. That's how we learned our first language, right? We were expert listeners for years before we were expert speakers.
Exactly. But this is where the speed problem comes in. Because when we listen, our brain is actually doing two very different things at the same time. And both have to work, or the whole system collapses.
Okay, 2 types of processing. Let's break this down. What are they?
So first, you have top-down processing. This is the big picture stuff. Your brain is using context, background knowledge, your general understanding of the world, what researchers call schemata, to interpret the message.
So it's like prediction.
It's all prediction. If you're in a job interview, your top-down processing is already activating words like experience, salary, teamwork, skills. You're predicting what you're likely to hear based on the situation.
So if I'm in a hospital, I'm expecting to hear words about medicine or patients. That's my top-down processing at work.
You got it. It helps you fill in the gaps if the sound is a bit unclear. But then you have the second type, bottom-up processing.
The opposite.
The complete opposite. This is the hard work. This is your ear and brain decoding the raw audio signal. You're deriving meaning purely from the sounds, the words, the grammar, the stress, the rhythm. It's breaking the code piece by piece.
And I'm guessing this is where fast English just completely destroys people.
This is the crisis point.
My expectations from the top-down processing, they just clash with the messy, blurry sounds I'm actually hearing from the bottom up.
You have nailed it. The problem is that spoken language, unlike written text, has no white spaces between the words. There are no clear boundaries. When we speak fast, sounds get lost. They get merged. They get linked. And many learners get stuck at higher levels, not because of vocabulary, although that's a factor we'll get to, but because their bottom-up processing skills just can't handle the reality of connected speech.
Can you give me a really clear example of that bottom-up breakdown?
Sure. Let's take a classic pair. Red dye versus red eye.
Okay, red dye like for clothes, red eye like the overnight flight.
Exactly. Phonetically, they are incredibly similar. Now, a native speaker's top-down processing, their context, will instantly tell them which one it is. Are they talking about a t-shirt or an airport?
Easy.
But imagine your bottom-up processing isn't as strong. You can't actually detect the tiny, subtle phonetic difference in the plosive sounds between die and I when they're connected to red. If you can't hear that tiny distinction in the raw sound, your context muscle can't save you. You just hear a blur.
Wow. So I need to train my ears to stop listening for the written word, which is basically an illusion in fast speech.
It is an illusion.
And start listening for these predictable sound changes.
That is the mission. We have to start seeing these features not as mistakes or sloppy speech, but as the natural, efficient rules of spoken English. They are shortcuts, and we just need to learn the map.
All right, let's get out the map. Time to stop and unpack these sound shortcuts. Where do we start?
Let's start with the one you mentioned, the one that sounds the most academic. Assimilation.
Okay, assimilation. It sounds formal. I hear that word and I think of, I don't know, a sociology class. Is it really just one sound changing to become more like the sound next to it?
That is the perfect way to put it. It's the neighbor effect. Assimilation is when a sound, a foam, in one word causes a change in a sound in a neighboring word. And it's all about making things easier to say.
So it's another laziness feature.
It's an efficiency feature. Your mouth is already getting ready to make the next sound, so the sound before it just adjusts a little to make the transition smoother. It happens constantly with sounds like N, T, and D.
Okay, let's do the example looping thing. Give me a formal example.
All right, let's take the phrase 10 pens. Say it slowly.
10 pens. Clear N sound.
Right. Now say it in a natural, quick speed. I need 10 pens.
I need 10 pens. Whoa, it changes. It becomes an M sound. 10 pens. Why?
Think about how you make those sounds. To make a P sound, like in pens, you press your two lips together. It's bilabial.
Okay, lips together. Got it.
But to make an N sound, your tongue touches the ridge behind your top teeth. That's alveolar. So to go from the tongue position of N to the lip position of P is P. That's a lot of movement. It's inefficient.
Right, I can feel it. It's clumsy.
So your mouth takes a shortcut. The M sound is also made with both lips. It's also bilabial. By changing the N to an M, your lips are already in the perfect position to say P. It's preparing for the next move.
That is so cool. It's like my mouse is playing chess, thinking one move ahead. Okay, give me a more casual one.
A classic example is last year. This one involves a type of assimilation called palatalization.
Sounds complicated.
The result is simple. The T sound at the end of last and the I sound at the beginning of year. They kind of merge together. The eat sound becomes a T sound.
Which is the sound in.
Yes. Beginning of, exactly. So you don't hear last year, you hear last cheer.
Last year. Yeah, I totally hear that now. It's so much smoother.
It is. Okay, now for a weird one, try saying Hyde Park.
Hyde Park.
Now say it 5 times fast. Hyde Park, Hyde Park, Hyde Park.
Hyde Park, Hyde Park. The D sound in Hyde just turned into a B sound?
It did. Why? For the exact same reason as 10 pence. The P in park is a bilabial sound made with the lips. The D in Hyde is alveolar, made with the tongue. So to make it easier, the D changes to AB, which is also bilabial. Your mouth is already in position.
So I always thought I was just mishearing it, or that the deed sound was just getting dropped. But it's not disappearing, it's actually transforming into a totally different sound.
And that is the absolute key difference between assimilation and the next feature we're going to talk about. It's a change, not a loss.
Okay, let's do a quick role play with that last year one. I'll tell you about a vacation. Just listen for last year.
I'm listening.
It feels like just yesterday, but last year I finally visited Japan. It was incredible.
See, I heard it perfectly. You said, last year I finally visited Japan. There was no gap, no hard T sound. It was just one smooth, blended sound. It's impossible to say it at a natural speed without that change happening.
And what are the common collocations or patterns for this?
Well, as we've seen, it very often happens with those alveolar sounds, N, T, D, D, when they come just before sounds made with the lips, like P and B, or sounds made at the back of the mouth, like K and G. So green paint might become green paint.
Green paint. Wow. Okay, my mind is a little blown already. Let's move on to the next one, the vanishing act.
Right. Now we're talking about elision.
Elision. So if assimilation is a transformation, elision is just poof. The sound is gone.
Is this why I can never hear the endings of words?
Yes, this is exactly it. Elision is the complete loss or disappearance of a sound, a phoneme. And it usually happens to make a complex group of consonants, a consonant cluster, easier and faster to say.
And are there common victims? Sounds that always get eliminated. Oh yes, the most common casualties are our old friends, the alveolar plosives, T and D, especially when they're at the end of a word and the next word starts with another consonant.
Okay, let's unpack some examples from the source material. Give me a formal-ish one.
Let's look at the phrase left back. Like in sports, the left back position. The T sound in left gets completely lost before the B sound in back. You say left back.
Left back. Yeah, try and say left it back. The FTB sound is really clunky.
It's slow and awkward. Your mouth just skips it.
Yeah, okay.
A more casual example, the sources use stand by and look back.
Okay.
In standby, the D at the end of stanza just disappears before the B. You say standby. And in looked back, remember that if D ending is pronounced like a T sound.
Right.
Anything is dropped before the B and back. I look back at my childhood. You don't say look back. It's too much effort.
And we're back to laziness being the driving force. It's too much work for my mouth.
It is. But it's not just T and D. Elision also happens with weak vowels and unstressed syllables. This is a huge one for shrinking words.
Shrinking words. I feel this one. Give me an example.
Take the word different. It has 3 syllables written down. Different. But when we say it, we almost always say different.
Different. 2 syllables. The middle vowel is gone.
Completely gone. Or another one. Interesting. Written, it's 4 syllables. Interesting. But we say interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. Or maybe even interesting.
Exactly. The weak vowel, the schwa, just vanishes to speed things up. The word literally gets shorter. This happens with function words all the time, too, like give me becoming gimme.
Or like in the example, would you give me some of that? Becomes a blur.
A total blur. It sounds like Ujemi state. The sounds are elated. They're linked. It's a perfect storm of connected speech.
Okay, let's try role play with that.
Yeah.
I'll offer you some cake, and I'll use those elided forms.
I'm ready for cake.
Hey, I made that interesting chocolate cake you like. You want some of that?
Oh, definitely. Give me a big slice. See? It sounds so natural. A learner is listening for the full phrase, some of that, which has 3 distinct syllables. But the native speaker delivers one smooth sound unit. S8. The V sound is gone. The weak vowels are gone.
And the collocations here, what should we look for?
Look for those consonant clusters. When you have 3 consonants in a row, like in must be, the one in the middle, usually a T or D, is a prime candidate for elision. Or next door becomes next door. You have to accept that the written word is not the spoken word.
So we've had sounds changing and sounds disappearing. What's next?
Well, there's another, more subtle feature that's related. It's called delayed plosion. This one is often the key to hearing the boundary between 2 words.
Delayed plosion. I like the name. It sounds very dramatic.
It's a tiny, tiny detail, but it's a huge clue for your ear. It happens when 2 plosive sounds are right next to each other across a word boundary.
Okay, wait, let's back up. A quick reminder on what a plosive is.
Good call. A plosive is a sound where you stop the airflow completely, build up a little pressure, and then release it in a burst.
Oh,
a plosion. In English, the 6 plosives are P, B, T, D, K, and G.
Okay, stop and release. Got it.
So when you have 2 of these sounds next to each other, like in the phrase black coat, something interesting happens.
What?
Your mouth forms the first plosive, the K at the end of black, by raising the back of your tongue to stop the air. But instead of releasing that air, You just hold it. You don't release it.
I hold it.
You hold it for a split second, and then you move directly into forming the closure for the next plosive, the K in coat, and then you release. That tiny, almost imperceptible pause where the first sound isn't released. That's the delayed plosion.
So that little pause is the signal that there are two separate words.
It is the only signal. It's what tells your brain that was black coat and not just one weird long word black coat. It's the bottom-up cue for the word boundary.
That's fascinating. Give me a few more examples.
Okay, a formal one. Big problem. The G in big is held, unreleased, before you release the P in problem. There's a tiny tension
It's a big problem. I can feel it.
A casual one. Get down. The T in get is held before you release the D in down. You don't say get down. You say get down with that internal stop.
Right.
And a funny scenario. Imagine telling someone to stop pushing. The P in stop is formed, held, and you move straight into the P for pushing. If you release the first P, it would sound like stop pushing, which is unnatural and slow.
I see. So if I, as a learner, try to pronounce both sounds perfectly and separately, I'll actually sound less clear and more confusing to a native speaker.
Exactly. You'll break the natural rhythm.
Yeah.
Recognizing and even trying to produce this tiny pause is a really high-level skill, but it's crucial for understanding where one word stops and the next one starts in a fast stream of plosives.
Okay, this is a lot to take in. We have changing, disappearing, and pausing. What about the glue that holds it all together?
The connecting bridges. That brings us to our last two features, which are closely related. Catenation and intrusion.
Catenation and intrusion.
Okay. These are the two main ways we link words to create that smooth, continuous flow of sound that native speakers love. We hate gaps between words.
So catenation, is that the most common one?
By far. Catenation, or you can just call it linking, happens when the last sound of a word is a consonant and the first sound of the next word is a vowel.
Consonant followed by a vowel. Okay.
What happens is the consonant sound doesn't stay with its own word. It jumps over and attaches itself to the beginning of the next word.
So the words are physically melting into each other.
They are. The classic example is pick it up. A learner hears three words, but a native speaker says it is one unit. The co sound in pick jumps to the front of it. The T sound in it jumps to the front of up.
So you hear pick it up.
Exactly. Phonetically, it's PPA. The word boundaries your brain is looking for, based on reading, are completely gone.
That's a huge problem for learners. My brain is programmed to hear the end of pick, but the sound signal is already on key. It just scrambles the whole decoding process.
It totally does. If you're waiting for the K sound to finish before the G sound starts, you've already missed it. You have to train your ear to accept that that consonant is now the beginning of the next syllable. Well, another quick example is what is it?
What is it becomes what is it?
Perfect. W sit. Now, what about when you have two vowels next to each other? That can be awkward. That's where intrusion comes in.
Intrusion, so something is intruding, coming in where it's not supposed to be.
Exactly. An extra sound, a sound that is not written in the spelling at all, sneaks in between two vowel sounds to make the transition smoother.
An unwritten sound. That sounds impossible to predict.
It's actually highly predictable. There are only three sounds that can intrude in English: R, J, or W. And the one you use depends on the shape your mouth is in at the end of the first vowel.
Okay, break that down for me. The intrusive R sound.
The R intrusion is very common, especially in non-rhotic accents like standard British English. It happens after vowels like schwa or ols. So the phrase media event is not said media event with a gap. An R sound sneaks in.
Meteor R event.
That's it. Or the idea of it becomes the idea of it.
Wow. Okay, what about the other two, the J and W?
The intrusive J sound, which sounds like Y, comes in after high front vowels, vowels that end with your tongue high and forward in your mouth, like IJ or a day. I think of I always.
I always.
The word I ends in that S sound. So when you connect it to always, a little J sound appears, IJ always. Or he is becomes he J a dia.
I can hear it now that you pointed out. It's so subtle. Okay, last one, the W sound.
The intrusive W happens after high back vowels, vowels that end with your lips rounded, like you survey. The perfect example is go away. The word go ends in that J sound. So you get,
Away.
You've got it. Or do it becomes do it.
So intrusion is basically just a natural consequence of moving your mouth from one vowel shake to another. The intrusive sound is the little bridge your tongue and lips make on the journey.
That's a beautiful way to describe it. And that's it. Those are the 5 core features: assimilation, elision, delayed plosion, catenation, and intrusion. If you can train your ear for these, you're not just listening anymore. You're decoding.
Okay, that science is incredible, and it's so satisfying to finally understand why it sounds like a machine gun. But we have to be honest. there's an elephant in the room.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Vocabulary. Even if I master all of this, if I don't know the words, none of it matters.
You are 100% correct. Vocabulary is the single biggest bottleneck in listening comprehension.
I knew it.
All the research confirms it. For you to listen effectively, especially to something complex like a university lecture or a business meeting, you need to already know between 95 and 98% of the words being used.
95 to 98%, that sounds impossible. That feels like you have to know every word.
It feels like it, but it's a specific number. Think of it this way. If you know 95% of the words, that's 19 out of every 20 words. You can probably use your top-down context skills to guess that one unknown word.
Right, I can fill in the blank.
But if your coverage drops to, say, 85%, you're now missing 3 words in every 20. The gaps become too big, the context itself starts to fall apart, and that's when your brain just gives up. It panics and decides the speech is too fast.
So it's not always a speed problem, it's a density problem. There are too many unknown words packed together.
Very often a density problem. So given that, we need to train actively. We can't just passively listen and hope for the best. Which brings us to a huge modern debate.
Let me guess. Subtitles.
The subtitle debate.
I love them. I watch everything with subtitles on. I feel like I'm learning so much because I catch every single word. Am I doing it wrong?
Okay, let me be very clear. If your goal is to improve your reading speed and vocabulary, subtitles are fantastic. If your goal is to improve your listening skills, especially if you are an intermediate or advanced learner, you have to turn them off.
But why? It feels so counterintuitive.
It's because of cognitive load. Your brain will always take the path of least resistance. Reading is infinitely easier for your brain than decoding fast, messy, connected speech. When the text is right there on the screen, perfectly spelled with clear boundaries,
My ears just turn off. They take a vacation.
they completely check out. You're not practicing listening anymore, you're practicing reading. It creates an over-reliance. The only time you should use subtitles is after you've listened a few times to go back and check the specific things you missed.
Okay, message received. Turn off the subtitles. So what active techniques should I use instead?
Let's start with the first and most fundamental one, practicing for gist.
Gist. I hear get the gist all the time. Is that just, get the main idea, or is it a specific tactical exercise?
It's a vital, specific technique. Gist is about understanding the overall meaning, the core point, the essence of a message, even if you miss 75% of the details. It's about learning to be comfortable with not understanding everything.
Tolerating ambiguity.
Exactly. In a training plan, a gist listening task should be very specific. You listen to a very short piece of audio, maybe 30 to 60 seconds. You have one single question to answer, like, what is the speaker's main complaint? And you do it without a pen or a dictionary.
No pen is the key. It stops me from trying to write down every word I hear.
It forces you to focus only on the big picture. Let's unpack it with some examples, a formal one. The meeting was 2 hours long, and I didn't follow all the financial data, but I got the gist of the new strategy.
So you know the main point, but not the details.
Right. A casual example. You're on a train platform, and there's a fast, muffled announcement. You might say, I didn't catch all that, but I got the gist. Our train is delayed. You captured the crucial outcome.
Makes sense. Give me the weird scenario.
Okay. My friend tried to explain the rules of a really complicated board game in 60 seconds. I have no idea what most of the pieces do, but I got the gist that the goal is to collect the most magic crystals.
So you have enough information to start playing at least. Okay, let's roleplay this. You tell me something complicated and fast, and I'll try to get the gist.
All right, so the basic principle of blockchain is that it's a decentralized, distributed ledger system where transactions are recorded in blocks and cryptographically linked together in a chain, ensuring immutability and transparency without the need for a central authority.
Okay. Whoa, I heard words like decentralized and blocks and chain. I missed the stuff about immutability, but I got the gist. You're telling me it's a way to record information that's secure and not controlled by any one person.
Perfect. You ignored the jargon and you extracted the core concept. That is successful gist listening. And the collocations are just what we've been using. Get the gist, grasp the gist, or understand the overall gist.
Okay, so gist is step one. What's the next level up? Something more powerful.
The next level up is a fantastic technique called dictogloss.
I know dictation, where you just write what you hear, but dictogloss. What's the gloss part, and how does it help with grammar?
It's one of the most powerful activities you can do because it combines listening with language production. In a dictogloss, you listen to a short text. maybe 80 to 120 words.
Okay, sure.
And you don't write down sentences. You only take notes on keywords and meaning chunks. Then you work with a partner to try and reconstruct the original text as accurately as you can from your combined notes.
Ah, so the goal isn't just to write it down, it's to rebuild it from memory.
Exactly. And that reconstruction step is where the magic happens for your grammar, because you're forced to think about the correct sentence structure, the right verb tenses, the prepositions. You have the key vocabulary from your notes, but you have to supply the grammatical glue yourself.
The collaboration must be key, too. My partner might have remembered a word or a grammar point that I missed.
It's essential. The process has a few steps. First, you just listen once for the gist, no pens. Then you listen a second time and you take your notes, those meaning chunks. And finally, you work together to rebuild the text. That's where you'll have discussions like, wait, did he say he go or he went? It must be went because it's in the past.
Yeah.
It forces you to notice the form.
Okay, let's run through the examples for dictogloss.
A formal example.
Yeah.
The teacher used the dictogloss technique to help students master the use of the past perfect. The notes might just be I, arrive, station, train, leave. The reconstruction forces them to produce the correct sentence. When I arrived at the station, the train had already left.
I see. It forces them to use the grammar point.
A casual one. We did a dictogloss with a fast dialogue from a TV show, and it really helped us notice how native speakers use contractions and elision.
So it makes you aware of the connected speech we talked about earlier.
Exactly. And a weird scenario. Before we tried to assemble the new flat-pack furniture, we listened to the instructional video and did a quick dictogloss of the steps to make sure we could reconstruct the text accurately and not end up with a wobbly bookshelf.
Ha! That's a very practical use case. Okay, let's do a quick role play. I'll complain about a grammar problem.
Go for it.
Ugh, I just don't get when to use articles. I know the rules, but when I'm speaking, I just get them wrong all the time.
That's a classic gap between knowing and doing. We should use a dictogloss for that.
Right.
We could listen to a short story, and when you and your partner have to reconstruct the text, you'll be forced to pay close attention to which noun needs which article. It will help internalize the pattern.
I like that idea. So the main collocations are apply the dictogloss technique, reconstruct the text, and note, meaning chunks.
Those are the key ones. And there are fun variations, too, like replacing keywords with a silly word like banana to force learners to guess from context, or dictating only the answers from an interview so the learner has to figure out the questions.
Okay, dictogloss is for comprehension and grammar. What about the physical side of speaking fast?
For that, we need a different tool entirely. That is where shadowing comes in.
Shadowing. So this is like being an echo, just repeating what you hear. How does that help my listening?
Because listening and speaking go hand in hand, shadowing is a physical training exercise. You repeat what you're hearing out loud with as little delay as possible. You're trying to speak almost at the same time as the original speaker.
That sounds incredibly difficult.
It is at first. The goal isn't perfect pronunciation or even understanding the meaning initially. The goal is to train your mouth, your tongue, your vocal cords to move at the same speed and with the same rhythm as a native speaker. You're building muscle memory.
So if my mouth knows how to physically create the picky-tup sound from pick it up, my ear will be better at recognizing it when I hear it.
Exponentially better. One of the main advocates for this method, Professor Argals, even recommends doing it while walking outside, using a loud, confident voice. It's not a mental task, it's a physical one. You're aligning your output tempo with the input.
Okay, let's unpack shadowing with the examples.
Formal example. To prepare for her fluency exam, the student integrated 30 minutes of shadowing into her daily study routine to improve her cognitive processing speed.
Casual example. I was listening to my favorite podcast, so I started using the shadowing technique just to see if I could copy the host's natural intonation and linking.
And a funny one. My new boss speaks at breakneck speed, so I've been secretly shadowing him under my breath in meetings just to train myself to keep up.
Huh. I might try that. And you can make it harder, right? By speeding up the audio.
For sure. Advanced learners can practice with speed bursts, playing audio at 1.25 or even 1.5 speed. It forces your brain to stop hearing individual words and start processing common phrases like gonna be or wanna go as single chunks of sound.
Okay, I have to try this. Let's do a role play. You say something at a normal pace, and I'll try to shadow you. It's gonna be messy.
That's the point. Ready? The most important thing is to focus on the rhythm and the melody of the sentence, not just the individual words.
The most important thing is to focus on the rhythm and the melody of the sentence, not just the words. Phew. That's hard.
It is. But that struggle, that's where the learning happens. That's how you develop the muscle memory and learn to repeat with rhythm and linking. It's a workout for your mouth.
It really is. Okay, Jamie, this is all fantastic. I think I finally understand the rules, but now we have to get to the part of the show I always dread a little.
The common mistake segment.
The common mistake segment. What am I probably doing right now that is completely wrong, even though I now know all these rules?
Well, this brings us right back to that feature we teased at the start. The one driven by pure laziness.
Illusion. The vanishing act.
Illusion. So go on, ask me your question. Give me the common learner mistake.
Okay. Can I say, I have looked back at my notes and try really, really hard to pronounce every single sound perfectly. I want to say that hard T sound at the end of looked and then the B sound in back. I want to be perfectly clear.
And that, right there, is the classic mistake of the advanced learner. You are trying to be too perfect. You are trying to speak like a textbook. If you pronounce that sentence as looked back, you don't sound clear. You sound, as the experts say, unnaturally precise.
Unnaturally precise. I don't want to sound like that.
Nobody does. A native speaker would just say, I look back. They use elision. They drop that final T sound. And now we get to the big reveal. Why do they drop it?
Because it's too much effort to say it.
It is simply too much work. The physical effort to move your tongue from the alveolar position for T to the lip position for B in a split second is too great. It's inefficient. So to conserve energy, we just drop the first sound.
So elision is the laziness feature.
It is the ultimate linguistic efficiency, driven by our natural tendency to conserve energy.
Yeah.
And if you, as a learner, fight that natural tendency, you're not just sounding unnatural, you're training your ear to listen for a sound that most of the time isn't even there. You have to accept the loss.
That is a perfect summary. Accept the loss. Okay, I think I'm ready. It's time for the quiz.
All right, we have covered a ton of ground today. Let's see what's stuck. I've got 3 questions for you and for everyone listening.
I'm ready. Hit me.
Question 1. Which active learning technique involves listening for meaning chunks and then working with a partner to rebuild a short text, which is great for improving your grammar?
Okay, that is the one where you reconstruct the text. It's collaborative. That has to be dictogloss.
Spot on. That is dictogloss. Question 2. When the phrase pick it up sounds like peek it up, which specific feature of connected speech are you hearing?
That's the consonant jumping over to the next word. The most common linking feature, that's catenation.
Perfect. Final question. Question 3. Which physical training technique involves repeating audio almost simultaneously to build muscle memory for rhythm and speed?
The one that feels like a workout for your mouth, that is definitely shadowing.
3 for 3.
Yeah.
Excellent work. You have officially graduated from our deep dive on decoding fast English.
This has been so helpful. Let's just quickly summarize the 3 biggest takeaways for everyone listening.
Go for it.
Okay, takeaway number 1. Listening is the foundation. Remember that 0.608 correlation. Nearly 40% of your speaking ability comes from your listening skills. To speak better, you must listen better. Takeaway number 2. Connected speech is the reason fast English sounds like noise. You have to actively train your ear for those 5 features: assimilation, elision, delayed plosion, catenation, and intrusion. They're mistakes. They're the rules of the game.
Absolutely.
And takeaway number 3. Use active techniques like dictogloss and shadowing. Stop just passively consuming content. These methods shift you from testing your memory to actively training your ear, your grammar, and your voice for real-world speed.
A perfect summary. And to put that into action, we have a micro-challenge for you.
Ooh, I like a challenge.
Sometime today, find a very short audio clip, just 30 seconds. A news headline, a weather forecast, anything. First, listen just one time and try to get the gist. Then rewind and try to shadow the last sentence or 2. Don't worry if it's messy. Just get your mouth moving and try to copy the rhythm.
Train your ear and your mouth, not just your memory. I love it.
That's the goal.
Well, that is all the time we have for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to English Unlimited Podcast. It helps us keep making these deep dives for you.
I'm Jamie Pai.
I'm Charlie. See you next time.